call this meeting to order. If you would please stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody had a chance to review the minutes for January 7th, 2025 council meeting. So properly moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for the January 7th council meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, at this time we'll be opening the bids for the community crossing grants, or grant. We received two of them. First one is from Milestone. And Chris, we received these according to the guidelines.
Everything.
For Milestone, we have a total bid of $187,688. And then our second one is from All Star Paving.
Your county or your locality.
And the total bid there, $284,202.37. Anybody want to see those?
Do we have to let John look at those before we
Yes, you do.
vote on what I thought we did?
So at this time, we'll take these under advisement, and then we have Chris until next month then to make a decision with that. Okay. Next up, we'll have any public comments. I don't see Gary for Heart of Hagerstown. Chris, I assume you're going to give us the update on the properties. This is our timeline for the
Correct.
buildings.
Yeah, but one on 301 South Perry is out for bid for demolition, and I had hoped to have that all wrapped up by this meeting, but it's going to be our next meeting. We'll move to the bids for that. The property over on West Madison Street, they have done a tremendous amount of work on that house, so it is getting fixed up. We're still having issues with the one up here on North Plum Street. I have spoke to Mr. Tom, and he said that they would start on that as soon as they finish the one that's over in Grayson Heights by Julie's house, and Julie said that she hasn't seen anyone over there working. So we are having a slowdown with that one. The one that's on Teeter Road, they have done some minor cleanup on it.
So Teeter Road, we took off the list, right?
I think they were still supposed to, they had some tires and some environmental things like that they were supposed to remove from the property.
And then 450 North Plum Street, if that's not completed on the date that we specified.
Yeah, I believe they have until, I want to say May to actually complete the rehab. We asked for an update in February, but I'm a little troubled. I mean, I don't know what action to take other than what we already have, but you know, there's been several different broken promises on that one.
But we can take it down after that time period.
Yeah, if they haven't complied.
With no recourse.
No, we'd be able to take it down and pursue them for demolition costs, and they wouldn't have complied with our orders, so we've given them ample opportunity to do so.
And when was that date?
It's a May date. I can get the exact date for you. But
Is that something that Tom watches too? To see if like work is being done?
He has his.
Does that fall into his?
He has his project manager. I think he lives out of state during the winter, but he has like a project manager that's supposed to be working on it. So,
Have you spoken to him?
I have not spoken to the project manager. No.
I meant our Tom.
Or Tom, okay.
But I mean,
I thought you
that's,
took Mr. Tom.
Yeah.
No, I've actually, he's been so busy with everything, I've been trying to see this on through and letting him pursue other things.
so have you seen any work done?
I have not seen any work done on it. And likewise, I don't think she's seen any work done on Grayson Knight's house that was.
I see some other head shaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
only thing I've noticed is they boarded that one window upstairs on the south side.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah.
did our guys board the door up?
We did the door, we did the back one, front door.
I don't think anything else has been done,
Mhm.
has it, Shelley?
The basement window is still unsecure and critters are still going in the
Is
house.
that something that our guys can do?
We could, yeah, we probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I said, I do recall from when we had the original meeting that the check-in with this was gonna be that you were allowed to visit the property.
Mhm.
Was there any steps, like, did anybody offer that, knowing the timeline, or?
Mhm. Yeah.
So back in our prior meeting, we agreed that we amended the order and said rehabilitation is to be completed by May 31st, 2025. That passed 3-0 and Fred abstained on that vote. So we have a recorded order against the property, so he can't do anything, but I would suggest, maybe we reset it for another hearing, April or sometime in May, and we have to change it back to a demolition order, unless we see significant progress, and
Yeah, just keep putting it.
just haven't seen it.
Yeah, no.
John, was there any specification on a deadline on when they needed to start the rehab?
I don't know if we put anything, in the order of when it was to start, but he sat here and made all kinds of commitments that, I think at that point, he was thinking it was just a few weeks out, and when he finished this house in Graceland Heights, he was gonna get right to it, and there'd be significant progress by February. And we set all these properties for just kind of a check-in in February to see what was going on, and progress on some and not on others,
So
so
that meeting was in October,
I think that's right, yeah.
for 4 months.
I'd say we stick to that May 31st deadline, and it's not completed, like promised, then we just continue to.
Yeah, like I said, we have the order against the property, which is something we didn't have before, so we've taken a step, but we have to go back and amend that, and I'm a little disappointed he sat here and made all the commitments, but just hadn't followed through.
So is your recommendation to amend that order in April?
I would think, I'll get notice out, we could schedule a time in April, potentially, April or May, in our May meeting. Schedule the Unsafe Building Hearing Authority and see what the progress is. I don't want to wait too long, and now, we might sit here and make promises again, I don't know, but.
I think we need to do it in April.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
So at least on that one, we'll reset him for an April date, and I'll just plan to make it coincide with the regular council meeting, since it's really the same group, but technically it's a different body, so.
Any other comments, questions on those properties? Do I have any further public comment during this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to ordinance number 1, 2025. This is the wage and salary ordinance, effective 1/8/2025.
This is for Tom's new position. Started the 8th. So you have to suspend the rules.
Do I have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we suspend the rules. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion on the wage and salary ordinance.
Make a motion that we approve the wage and salary ordinances given to us by the clerk treasurer.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve ordinance number 1, 2025, the wage and salary ordinance, effective 1/8/2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then something to put on your minds, we need an appointment to the Eastern Indiana Regional Planning Board assignment, or Planning Board. Brian, you were...
Can I make a comment? So, yeah, they notified Julie that I haven't had very good attendance, which that would be true. So a little bit of that is, them were always held in Richmond, which made it pretty easy for me to attend. Now, I have voted, you can vote absentee, have tried to vote on those, but they moved those to Rushville. So they're normally start at 11, and they're normally done by 1:30. So by the time you take off early to get there, and by the time you get back, you've kind of donated a day to that. I know some of your jobs are going to make that a little challenging. I'd be more than happy to give that up to somebody. And probably that kind of goes along with the plan, the plan commission that we have here in town. A lot of the things need to be brought to it, that you're seeing doing that. And that started out is it still 5 counties? I think it started out 4 counties, now it's 5 counties, I think. So you can see what's going on there. A lot of the stuff is more beneficial for the larger communities than the smaller communities. But if somebody would like to take that, they can. If nobody wants to do it, I would try to do better in 2025. But you just it basically messes up your...
Is there any specification that we're required to participate in
No.
that?
Well, we pay into that, so we're a part of that. So because we're part of that, we are allowed to have one person on the board. So you like I said, some of the meetings you can vote absentee, and I always do try to do that, represent us on that.
I got the dates.
Yeah, so you can see the
But I
date.
don't know where they're gonna be.
They're normally quarterly, so we missed the first quarter, so you're down to 4 meetings, or April, July, and what's the other month? October. Yeah, that's kind of where they're at. So, like I said, if somebody'd like to pick that up, that's fine. But if you do that, it would probably be beneficial to also have on your schedule to come and present some of that information that pertains to the Plan Commission, the local Hagerstown Plan Commission, because some of that goes hand in hand.
It appears this isn't tied directly to the council, so because it says as you're appointing elected officials, I would
Yeah.
assume if there was somebody else that had an interest in it, they do have to reside within the town limits.
Yeah.
Or I would assume, it says yes or no, but I would.
Yeah.
So do they offer a Zoom option or anything like that, so you can at least cut out the travel? Sit at your desk and...
Some of them, it depends where it's at and who the speaker is and what's going on. Some do, some don't. It's probably to your benefit to attend.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like I said, when it was in Richmond, it was very convenient, I was normally 5 minutes away and could break away and get there real quick, and as soon as it was over, I could get out of there. But when they moved it to Rushville, and I'm assuming, that's where the first one was, and I think I seen that's where April is, so I'm assuming they're not gonna.
Okay.
Kind of depends who's heading that up, who's the president of that. Right now, I believe that they are from Rushville, so at one time he was in Richmond. So,
We need to run for president then.
Yeah.
Move to Hagerstown.
I would tell you there's a lot of moving parts to it, but my experience is a lot of that focus is on grants and grants for the bigger communities. Normally those grants, if you're 7,500 or less, or 5,000 less, all the housing studies that they've done in the past, we've not benefited from any of them because we've been too small to benefit from those. So, like I said, if anybody wants to take it, I'm more than happy. They are right, I did not do a good job. Last year was the first year where they moved them all to Rushville. The year before that, they kind of, I think 2 was in Richmond, got to those, 2 were in Rushville. I think I got to 1 of those. It just takes, my trouble, I get in the office and I have good intentions of going and the telephone gets ringing and da-da-da, and the next thing I know, I'm gonna miss half the meeting before I get there. And as you know, travel down Route 3 to Rushville can be fast or slow, depending on who you get behind.
I think with this point, just being that we have until April, if you would take it under advisement, and then we can look at that within over the next month. Moving on then, John, what do you have from us from your desk?
Start the legal services agreement. I sent an email, and again, I apologize, I had too much time to digest it, but this is legal services agreement that I've signed. It's the exact same terms as the first one for 2024. Just changed the date to 2025 for the calendar year, same rate, same terms and everything. So want to make sure we have that for Julie's records and State Board of Accounts, that you have an agreement with me. So.
We need to probably vote for that. I still had it on file from last year.
You can't trust your attorney, you can't trust, right?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented by John.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the legal services agreement with name John as the town attorney for the year 2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
And I'm going to abstain.
All right, thank you. Next, and you guys should have all received this. This is the VS Engineering and Triad. Lou Safka announced the merger and sent us documentation. This is a consent to an assignment that's set up for Alan's signature that they prepared. So essentially what it does is says that VS Engineering, who's the successor entity in this merger, so Triad, as I understand it, is no longer. So VS Engineering will essentially step into the shoes of Triad, perform all the duties of the contract. So none of the terms change. They still have the same obligations, and it sounds like they're going to have a lot of the same people. It's just going to be a different name. So this just basically is for their records to show that you as a group have seen, are aware of the merger, and you don't have any issue with the assignment.
So is the 2 main owners of Triads, either one of them still with this entity, or are they both not?
Well, Mr. Savka, I believe, is still there, and he put in there, I think it's maybe a son or someone that's working, got the same last name, he's still there. So yes, I think there's still some continuity there.
They were
Brothers.
brothers.
Yeah.
For brothers, okay.
Stu's been our main contact through all this anyhow. I'm gonna make the motion that we just, make the motion for Alan to sign the agreement from, VS Engineering to continue to work on our water project.
Second.
So properly moved and seconded to approve council president to sign for the consent to the assignment for VS Engineering. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Okay, and the last thing I have is to talk a little bit about the potential sale of timber at the airport. That came up, I don't know, maybe 2 or even 3 months ago, first blush. Then I think I was asked about it last meeting, and I think I even used the term quick answer. So my quick answer was, it seemed as if the town had record title to the airport land. The town should be able to keep the proceeds of the timber sale. That is not the case. I sent you all an email with some research. Essentially, the statutory scheme allows the airport, well, the town retains title, but that's really all you retain. You don't retain much of any control over the property. The airport board has the authority to do whatever they want to do with that property, to lease it, which there's precedence for that with the 4-H lease. So they're leasing out part of that. They can do essentially whatever they need to do or want to do. And there is even a separate section on the sale of timber, separate statute, and it's very clear that that would be considered personal property of the airport board. So they would be able to negotiate the contract for the sale of the timber. They would be able to keep the proceeds from the sale of the timber and put that back into aviation-related purposes. At first blush, logically, to me and maybe to many others, you think, well, whoever owns the property ought to be able to keep that. But there's a separate code section for airports and that interrelationship and the Board of Aviation Commissioners that they are entitled to use that property for aviation purposes, which would include the harvesting of the timber. And I even gave you one case, if you're a nerd, you want to read it like me, where the town started out as the town of Converse, and they actually asked the airport board, they wanted to create an industrial park. And they actually had to ask the airport board, would you vacate your rights to this property that we are the record owners of, but you have to vacate your rights to this property so we can create this industrial park. Some farmers intervened, because I'm sure they probably wanted to buy or keep farming the ground, tried to stop it, but the court said, it's the only case I found that cited to that statute. The court said no, it's the airport board's, even though the record title is almost meaningless, the airport board has control over that land and what proceeds and whatever happens with the land. So I don't know where we are in that process, but I guess my recommendation and my now better informed opinion is that really it's going to be the airport board that's going to negotiate with any timber harvester, agree on the terms, and then once that money comes in, it would be reserved to the airport board for their purposes. So any questions? So really, I don't know there's much for you guys to do. It's really going to be up to the board to decide if and when they want to harvest the timber.
Have they contacted us or the airport?
They've contacted me like every other week.
I think, so it's pretty clear now, you just need to give Mike's number and let him
Let them contact him.
negotiate that deal.
So now will that have to go through a bidding process then, I would assume, since it's government property?
I would think so, but that'll be at the airport board's.
Then it'll all be their doing.
It'll be all
Okay.
their situation, so they'll handle that.
Okay.
So
And those proceeds can just go into their aviation line, airport line here?
right.
Okay. Don't have to create a separate line for that?
No, I don't think so. Just their general aviation purposes. So that's all I have.
Any other questions, comments? John?
So that's going to bring up another comment. So maybe we've done it wrong, but I think that ground is currently leased down there to a farmer. Okay? I think that contract is probably signed by town council.
It is.
It is. So I'm assuming we need to even though the contract's in place, I don't think we need to renew that because it's a pretty decent contract, but probably them funds should also shuffle.
Right, or we could do an assignment, much like we just signed with VS Engineering and Triad. You could assign it to the rights and the duties to the,
That money, that rent money now goes to the general line.
Oh,
It will go to the airport line.
no, it has been going to
Oh, it has been going to, okay, all right. Even though we, negotiated the lease, okay. Next time you need to negotiate the lease, but it is going to your line, so that's good. So I don't guess we have to reassign that, or we can reassign the lease.
you could, yeah, I can look at the lease and.
Wasn't that 5 years or 3 years?
I'm not sure.
I believe it's 3.
It's 3 or 5, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Move down to reports from departments, boards, and commissions. Wayne County EDC. I didn't see
Brad said.
Brad. Did he send us a?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you're always kind of a month behind, but yes, we did receive January's minutes.
That's right.
Okay, receive January's minutes.
Parks and Recreation.
They did not meet in January, but meeting next Monday.
Police Department. Wayne.
We don't have anything this month.
Fire Department. Rick.
Okay, I gave you all my final report for the year, which also included January's fire report. One good thing that happened this past month was Country View Farms, which owns the mill on one. They're family owned and their family has a foundation. And I received a call from them and they donated $5,000 to the fire department. So it was a good thing. We can definitely use that. But we finished the run for the year with 258 calls, and that's pretty well much the same as the amount as we had last year. EMS calls were still led the way, and but we did have an increase, and they've been increasing over the last couple of years of motor vehicle accidents in the area, so they continue to rise. Our apparatus that we have, 6.4 is still a work in progress, but the rest of the trucks, they seem to be, knock on wood, doing okay. Township, I still need to meet with Chris and get a meeting set up with us, so on what we're going to proceed to do. Although, I don't know if any of you know this, or I've left a copy of it up there, that currently there's a House Bill 1233 at the State House that they're going to try to eliminate township governments and try to eliminate the volunteer fire departments, which will become control of the county. And the county EMA director will oversee that fire department by the county. So, and then they will have to hire another trustee to take over the trusteeship if that passes. The bill's being authored by a lady down in District 70 in southern Indiana. So, and it also includes in that at the end of 2027, if you are a member of a fire protection district or a fire territory, they go away. And I'm kind of interested in that because there's a lot of full-time departments that are members of fire territory. You have Brownsburg Fire Territory, they're full-time. You have Plainfield Fire Territory. I'm trying to see how the state's going to say, all right, you guys have to give that up now. So I don't know about that. So they've tried it before, they try it every year. So I did give you a copy of the House bill there too. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Also included in the bill, if you are a community of 1,000 people or less, you have to report your income and your expenses every November. And if a point comes to where you your expenditures are a little high than what you're bringing in, that town no longer exists. It goes into it comes under county control, so.
So Rick, in the past, how close have these bills come to being passed? You know, I know they brought it up at least twice while I've been on town.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I know there's a lot, this bill is getting a lot of publicity out there. There's a lot of people against this, but of course, Marion County is exempt from all this, so.
Yeah,
like
they have
always are.
unified government with the city of
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
so they always are. So, it's just like there's a House bill out there now to deal with reserve police officers and delimiting their authority. So if it passes, if there's not an agreement signed with like Hagerstown and Cambridge needs help, and we have a reserve officer, he cannot go down there because he has no arrest powers. And if the county, it's just, I don't know why all of a sudden they're doing this. It's a power grab, I don't know. But I've got a report I can give you about the Indiana Volunteer Fire Department or Fire Association did a report several years ago. The volunteer fire departments in the state of Indiana, billions of dollars a year in tax money. So I don't know why they would want to put that up in jeopardy, because you're going to have to raise taxes if you're going to have a full, because if they eliminate the volunteer, they're going to have a full-time department in the county. That means they're going to have to build stations, they're going to have to hire people. So somebody's taxes are going up.
So I'm gonna ask this question.
Yeah.
So let's just say if this happens, wouldn't our station be a logical station for them to keep versus we're on this side of Wayne County and Richmond's on the other side of Wayne County? Wouldn't we be, I mean, they're gonna have to keep some of these.
Yeah, you're going to have to do something.
So wouldn't it be a logical one that they would
I
keep?
mean, the only way it would affect us, it would affect the township part of it, our agreement with the township. They could not do nothing with our community because we're owned by the town. So it just says township, it doesn't say, municipalities. So they would have to do something like that. They would take over the equipment, or we could buy it off the township at the end before everything's, it just depends. I don't see it going nowhere, but they've been trying it so long. There's one year that this might say, hey, maybe we need to do that. We got people in place over there in Indianapolis that all they're looking about now is cutting costs and reducing this and reducing that. I mean, who knows? But I don't see it going anywhere that has a lot of opposition.
But it truly doesn't reduce cost.
No, it does not.
So if they're really interested in reducing costs and they look at the numbers,
Yeah.
it's not going to reduce costs. It's going to increase their costs.
It will.
Okay.
To the state, so yeah. The station over there, we've been doing some repairs to it inside. Right now we're using the funds that were donated to the department or what we're going out and raising ourselves. We are putting a small kitchen in over there, something we wanted to do for quite a while. But one thing that we really need to look at, and when it's budget season coming around, our approaches out there in front, they're just deteriorating so bad. The concrete's crumbling real bad, and it's going to be a mess before long. So we're going to have to do something with that. There's a few other things that we want to do to the station, if we can find funding for it. So, and my guys are doing all the work. Brian and Joe and Matthias and Alan's been up there. Wes have been up there doing all the work. So we're not paying anybody to do the work. We're doing the work ourselves. So, membership. We did add a new probationary firefighter. He lives here in town. He just recently moved in, him and his girlfriend. They live just on South Washington Street. I have had contact by 2 other people about wanting to join, which one is going to be iffy. But the other one, I'm gonna meet him Thursday, so, and if we do, that'll bring our roster back up to 25, which we haven't had a 25-man roster for over a year now, so. And, I mean, we're fortunate enough to have what we have. We thank you and the township for supporting us, and we couldn't do it without you. I mean, so I got a good bunch of guys, and we take on women, and if Shelley wants to sign up.
I'll pass.
So, and we do have another young lady, it's a cadet with ours too. She's 16 and she's going through the cadet program. And I think she'll be, I think she'll be good.
She seems pretty excited about it.
Yep. She's going to school over at Coucil to be a welder. So,
She's on the archery team, she's one of my archers.
yeah, and she asks a lot of questions, that's for sure. But that's all I got. I know the runs this month were up a little bit for January. They were down in November and December, and then they cranked right back up there again. So we finished with 25 runs or 24 runs in January compared to 17 the month before. So, but that's all I have.
Airport question. Break down to, excuse me for my ignorance, but what's your guys' max number of members? Your max number of members, do you guys have like a cap?
25 is what we're.
25 is the cap?
Yeah. So,
sorry, go ahead.
excuse me, but up there later thing, if anybody wants to nominate the town or our fire department, Lowe's gives out $10 million a year to help volunteer departments across the country. They give them money to work on their stations, to do a little bit of everything. So I've got information up there, and I got another one if somebody wants to nominate us to Lowe's with a way to get some extra money put in our station so we can do some more work on that. So.
And then on the tracking of training hours, how are you guys tracking those right now?
The training hours, Alan, he's our training officer. He takes care of that right there, so.
And then last question, I promise.
Yep.
So for the stuff at the station, for the stuff outside, I know you said you got a bunch of internal projects, but is the stuff outside, is it maybe more important than the stuff on the inside? Or maybe you may have to move some money to focus on that?
You mean the, like our approaches?
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff on the inside is stuff that is minor stuff that we want to do that, you know, it's not costing that much. But the outside of the building, yeah, it's important. That's going to have to be done, but that's stuff that should probably be put into the budget. And instead of us raising money to pay for that ourselves, that comes out of the general fund with our budget, if it's funding's there.
Okay. Because pure ignorance on my end.
Town owns the fire station and they own all that property.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome, thank you. That's all I had, sorry.
Airport board, Mike.
We had our meeting last week, we discussed getting help for the summer. I'm gonna get with Julie about the process for that. Since we did the mowing ourselves last year, we know about how many hours it takes per week, and we're pretty sure it's gonna get down quite a bit from last year, or the year before. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, starting in July, I think all board meetings have to be recorded or televised. Is that right? We normally have our meetings in this room, and I know you guys have him. Does the town have a plan for doing that in this room, or do we have to do that ourselves, or?
Yeah, I believe we're taking that under advisement, because
Okay.
we had to do it, and then once we get that figured out, it'll be easy, because then, as you said, every meeting for all the other council or the.
Okay, I didn't know if we just had to do our own or what, so.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay. And if you could send me that email that you sent them about the trees.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be great.
That's all I got. Do you have a new tractor and a new mower at the airport? I was trying to remember that.
Well, the new does, yeah.
Or new to you, but both of them are new. It's
Yeah.
not just a tractor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Provide funds to the airport board, then
Let's speed things up.
they can decide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought.
Advisory plan commission.
Yeah, we did have a meeting. Ellen was there. Becky's also been approved for the Plan Commission. We'll report that Chris Sanova, once again, is president. Dylan, you can share up in here anytime. I know the part I was there was a lot of discussed. There was a business wanting to come in where Chris Mall's old contracting business was. It's a online auto sales, which is, that area is not zoned for auto sales. But when we got looking into it a little deeper, I mean, that is basically like a auto sales lot, you know, where you got cars parked there and you're selling cars there. They're basically just wanting to lease the office and have an address. The state requires them to have an office, an address that is not used by any other business. It has to be assigned specifically to that, so nothing else can run out of that office. And the conversation, you know, we just wanted to make sure we didn't get a lot of cars there. Their assurance to us that the only time there might be a couple cars there is cars that have been sold online and are in the process of being transported to the new owners, but they can't really sit there for any time period. So we were trying to figure out where they need to come and get a variance. Somebody had to sign off on that to the state that it's been approved, you know, that's okay. When we got looking into it, basically all they're renting is the office. And it's approved, I mean, it's approved, that space is approved for offices, because there's one right next door to it. So we didn't really see that there needed to be a variance. So was Tom going to sign off on that?
Tom did sign off on
Yeah,
it.
so Tom signed
Yeah,
off
he
on
signed
that.
off on it, yep.
So that there would be paperwork for him to give to the state. And we feel very confident that it fits the zoning because he's just using it for an office, renting it for an office location, and it's zoned for that. So quite a bit of time spent on that. We finally got that figured out, and then Bob Warner had a good idea. He asked the president at the February meeting that we come up with an agenda of projects that the Plan Commission needs to focus on and work on for 2025, which I think was a good idea. So I guess we'll be working on that to get that done. Dylan, did I miss anything? Bob, did I miss much?
No. There's just a couple things. I got notes.
Okay.
They said there was some interest in the old US Bank property, but I don't think there's been any further
There's
interest
not
in
any
it.
further discussion.
Okay. And they said there was an alley on the north side of Main Street that they're looking to, they're asking the town to abandon. And I think you
It's actually the south side of the
South side.
house, opposite the north side that we abandoned.
They were looking at trying to see if the town would be willing to abandon that. I think Chris was going to check some easement issues to make sure that we weren't going to run into any roadblocks there. And then there were two property owners within our 2 mile fringe that was wanting to build a second residence, and I think ultimately decided that they can do what they want with it.
Thank you.
Well,
Notes are better than mine.
Okay, Chris, your monthly report.
Alrighty, wastewater treatment plant, I did get the engineer's drawings for the steel walkway structure that would be built on the clarifiers. And I'm going to get that information all put together in a packet to bid out. So that's probably going to be something we'll open in April. So demolition will be March, clarifier steel April. If you know of any steel fabricators, you might want to give me their names because they're kind of few and far in between for this type of project. Water department, we have a leak detection company back in town. They're working on trying to find leaks. As you know, that's an ongoing problem with our water system, leaks are. The water line project is out for bid. We have a pre-bid meeting tomorrow morning. We already discussed TRAD has been purchased by another engineering firm. Electric department, Joe Favorite and I met with Dwayne Richardson from IMEA about getting him enrolled back in the lineman training classes, which that will be good. He'll start back in on that in March. I do have the contract signed with AEP, which is good now through 2032, so we have the electric rate that we're buying, the wholesale rate locked through till 2032. We're working on creating a spec for a new bucket truck. I think I brought this up at the last meeting. That's going to be a pretty expensive item, probably around $250,000. We had talked to Dwayne about the pluses and minuses of buying new versus a used, and he informed us, I think Joe already knew this, I did not know this, that with a lot of the bucket trucks, they have to have annual inspections performed by the same business every year, and if one of them misses out on that, you're basically void of any kind of a warranty and you cannot be used by another electric department. So we felt like it would probably be the best thing just to go ahead and buy a brand new one that we would keep for another 20 or 25 years as opposed to trying to buy a used one. But that's something we can look into a little bit more, but that's what we're aiming for right now.
So, Chris, can I go back in history? So, we had a larger bucket truck, and it was brought to council, because I said, I brought to council that it wouldn't get down alleys and it was too cumbersome, and so we wanted to buy a smaller one, and we wanted to sell the larger one, which we did sell the larger one. So now we're back wanting a larger one.
Okay, we had 2 larger ones. We sold one for a smaller one and kept the one larger one. And then last year we did buy a tree trimming bucket truck, so we have small, medium, and large now. So yeah, I understand what you're asking. Yeah.
So what are we replacing here? Are we replacing something?
We're either replacing the medium one, or Joe said if we were to go with even like a 65-foot bucket, our longest one right now is a 70-foot bucket. We could probably sell the 2 larger ones and get a newer one that's like a 65-foot bucket. It's confusing, isn't it?
Well, we spent quite a bit of money on that tree trimming truck. I mean, if he's recommending selling that, can we recoup the money that we spent on that?
I think we could come pretty close to it.
We'd want to come real close, wouldn't we? I mean, that was no cheap venture either, was it?
70,000, yeah.
Okay. So you think we could, all right. Well, I just want to make sure we're going bigger and smaller and medium. I just want to make sure, you know, you said this will be good for 20 more years. I just want to make sure we don't come back in 5 years and say, hey, this is too big and cumbersome.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do a lot of comparisons, a lot of, you know, is it really, which way is going to be the better way to go about doing this? Yeah.
So I'm assuming if you get rid of the tree trimming truck, then this truck would be able to trim trees and do electrical work?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
See, every one of the trucks have to be dielectric, so you can't, you know, you're not going to get shocked. So it's a special kind of bucket truck from day one.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll do a lot of comparisons on that and see what we think is the best to do.
Okay.
I have a question, Chris.
Sure.
Where are we at with trying to get the easements cleaned out? Because I know that was an issue with that big truck. I was still working for the town at that time. We couldn't get that truck into places to get to our utilities. Has that been straightened out now, or?
I would say we still have to do a lot of work along the west side of the industrial park, and our easements in that area. North of 38, we're in pretty good shape. Now, the question you're asking, are you asking about the easements themselves being cleared out to work in?
Yeah.
We're still working on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
And the one you're talking about, the industrial park, is that the one that comes out over here by the lift station? I know we used to patrol that. There was times you couldn't hardly get a police car through there, let alone a bucket truck.
So this is the one that would be over behind
Behind the old Exponent?
the old Exponent and the parking lot for auto car, where
Yeah.
the whole other trucks
Yeah.
parked at, over there on the west side. That's a mess.
That's pretty narrow
It's a
through
mess.
there, yeah.
Yeah, and so right now we have a 70-foot bucket truck. If we could get auto car to move some vehicles, we could probably get along the west side and go over the fence and try to clear that out. Well, we have a 70-foot bucket truck, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Get this wrapped up here. The snow plowing has gone pretty smooth, fairly smooth this year. We've had a lot of compliments, which is good. I don't know, Bob Warner, if you have anything about the Washington Street Railroad crossing update, if you.
No, I need to set up a meeting with you to talk about the drawing that we have
Okay.
completed, so
Okay.
that's the next step.
That sounds good. Julie and I have been working with Henry Island Insurance. We did not get very good news from them. I guess insurance has gone up substantially for us and for all other communities as well. And so they are bidding that out to a couple other underwriters and seeing if we can get some lower rates on that. So the only last thing I had there, we have sent out a number of very large electric bills this past month due to the extreme cold we've had. So that's all I have.
On the water department, the water leaks, is that like coming in, like leaks that are coming into town?
Would be leaks, water that's in the pipes going out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how much water, or like, is it like a
An awful lot.
percentage?
About half. It's an awful lot. Yeah.
And I assume that's also why we have the water project. is to
Correct,
offset
correct.
this.
And the water project is going to help remedy some of that. We have had an ongoing leak problem that we just keep trying to figure out where it's at. And I think we get one large leak result and another one
Another one pops up.
pops up somewhere else.
Pressurize the system and it pops up.
It really does, it really does. And it's almost, I think, Alan, you've been around a lot. You know that it seems like we'll fix something on the south side before you know it, there'll be a leak over on the west side or north side. So, yeah,
That's a lot of water.
it's an awful lot of
So
water.
50% is what we're losing?
It's an awful lot, yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion, questions? Chris? Okay, Julie? anything for us from you
Just
guys?
working on the annual report for Gateway for 2024. That's about it.
Next regular council meeting will be Monday, March 3rd, 2025 at 6:30. Town Hall will be closed February 17th, 2025 to observe President's Day. Has everybody had a chance to review the claims?
Move to approve.
Second. You can have it.
Go ahead.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?